Roblox Battlegrounds. What immediately pops into your head when you hear the word Battlegrounds? Maybe you get flashbacks to getting teamed on in JJS. Or absolutely destroying a trash talker in Heroes. Or maybe even getting death counterbaited by some guy that looks like he's AFK in TSB. And for the 1% of you that haven't played Battlegrounds, it's a very simple game concept. Just a base plate with you and other people, and you fight those people with different characters. That's it. No kill requirement to do anything, no gambling or grinding for characters. You can just join any Battlegrounds and have mostly all the characters unlocked, ready for you to try them out. Now on the surface, this seems like a pretty cool concept, right? Well, about 9 months ago, I made a video basically saying if something doesn't change with Battlegrounds, that the genre will most likely die out. And I was mostly right because a lot of Battleground goats like Smoothie, Stud, Noodles, Holy Grail, Skelly, to name a few.
Hold up, did Unk just try to slide himself in there?
They've either quit completely or are slowly moving away from Battlegrounds. And there was one thing I said in this video that I said needed to change or else Battlegrounds would completely die out, but I couldn't have been more wrong. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's talk about the current state of Battlegrounds. And spoiler alert, it's not very good. Now there's a number of reasons why people think Battlegrounds are dying, but all of them is why Battlegrounds were destined to fail. But let's start off with one reason that I've seen people complain about a lot: lack of creativity / innovation. And I'm not gonna lie, I was in this boat as well. In this video I mentioned earlier, I stated that one of the big reasons Battlegrounds might die out soon is because of lack of creativity. So that must be why Battlegrounds are dying, right? Well no, Battlegrounds have been getting more creative. Let's look at these two amazing Battlegrounds that brought something new to the table. First, Fatal Combat. Now as soon as you load into the game, you immediately can tell this game is drastically different from any other Battlegrounds because of the fact that they didn't go the traditional just having 4 moves route. Each character has anywhere from 2 to 4 extra moves, and these moves are special to each character. Let's take Wolfang Warrior, which is based on the red stick figure from Combat Gods. And since he made clones in the animation, his special moves mostly have to do with his clones. He can throw a clone with Mimic and then use his other special move Teleport to teleport to that clone. And with Mirage Fade, it basically lets you dodge a single hit. And finally, Silent Reap is a move you have to charge up that plays this sick cutscene from the Combat Gods fight. And mind you, these are just extra abilities. You still have 4 other moves that are your main moveset. So already this is a lot to take in for a new player. But before I make my point, let's look at the second game that brought something new to the table: Demon Realm. This, if you couldn't tell, is a Demon Slayer Battlegrounds. Now, unlike Fatal Combat, this just changes one thing, but it's a very core mechanic that every single Battlegrounds game has: dashing. In this Battlegrounds, there's no front dashing, there's grappling. Now I know you might be thinking, oh, they just switched the dashing animation to a grappling one. There's no difference, but it's more than just that. First of all, you can catch people way further with the grapple because you just go a lot farther than a dash does. You can also use this as a movement ability because you can grapple onto walls or buildings. Now this might not seem like a big change, but you really do need some time to get adjusted to it because every Battlegrounds has dashing in it. It's like M1's, something really simple, it's just your character punching. But if a Battlegrounds game were to remove it, it would change the whole game because it's a core mechanic. Now both of these games introduce something new to the genre, whether that be straying away from the stereotypical 4 base moves or changing a core mechanic. And what do both of these games have in common? They're both dead, floating at just around 200 concurrent players. You might be thinking it's because these games are bad. Well, that's actually not the case because they have really smooth gameplay with amazing visuals. You can also argue the fact that Fatal Combat is not really popular because there's so many Battlegrounds related to Combat Gods like Legends Battlegrounds. Well, Legends Battlegrounds is pretty much a clone of TSB, just with stickman characters. If people really cared about Battlegrounds being creative, then Fatal Combat would have more players than Legends Battlegrounds, but it doesn't. You see, I think players don't really care about new Battlegrounds games being creative as much as they think they do. I mean, let's look at the 2 most popular games on Roblox: Grow a Garden and Steal a Brain Rot. There's a reason these two games are the most popular games right now, because they're simple to play and they're easy to get into. Like your grandma could start playing Grow a Garden. And the same goes for Battlegrounds. The reason they got popular in the first place is because they're simple and easy to get into. You don't need to learn insane sweaty techs if you don't want to. You don't need to grind hundreds of hours just to unlock a single character. You just join and fight. Now we'll come back to this lack of creativity segment in a bit, but before we do, let's talk about another big reason why Battlegrounds are dying, because of the fact that there's no reward or sense of value by playing Battlegrounds. Now what I mean by that is that there's nothing you can work towards in the game besides random emotes and cosmetics. Most games offer a sense of value as you play it, whether that be progressing through a game to learn more about the story, or grinding a game 24/7 to finally be able to unlock that one character you really wanted. Battlegrounds has none of these. I don't know about you, but the only thing I've gotten from having a lot of kills in Battlegrounds is made fun of. Now I'm gonna wrap this other reason in with this segment because players think that they go hand in hand, and that's Battlegrounds being super repetitive. And Battlegrounds being super repetitive isn't the issue. The issue is that there's no reward for it being repetitive, because most games are repetitive, like Forsaken. It's the same thing every time. You either hide from the killer or you be the killer every single game. And these generators don't even do anything. Like, what's up with that? Tower defense games are the same thing every time you play. Sports games like Azure Latch is the same thing every time. The only difference being is that you actually get some type of reward for playing these games. In Forsaken and Azure Latch, you play to get money to finally unlock that one character you really want. And in tower defense games, maybe you're playing for trait rerolls to finally get that one trait you've been looking for all week.
I got a store! I got a store!
You see, if Battlegrounds had some sense of reward, players wouldn't care about the repetitive nature of it, because in reality, most games are super repetitive. Now here's my final reason why I personally think Battlegrounds don't have that much left in the tank, and that's because of the content. It's no secret that a lot of Battlegrounds have drastically slowed down in updates, hence why so many Battleground YouTubers are quitting. TSB, more like the weakest updates. We've gotten 3 updates since KJ's release. Jujutsu Shenanigans, more like no more shenanigans. Heroes Battlegrounds, more like bad updates. I don't know, Heroes has just had the middest updates recently, okay? The content size in each update for the really popular Battlegrounds like TSB and JJS has gotten significantly smaller, and the time for updates has increased. In 2023, TSB released 6 new characters, and in 2025, it's about to come to an end, and we have gotten a total of 1 new character, and he's not even complete. And although Jujutsu Shenanigans has stayed about the same, releasing 6 characters in 2024 and 5 in 2025, but there's a big difference. 3 of the 5 characters in 2025 have no ultimate movesets, so they're basically like half completed characters. But you see, I don't think the devs behind these games are releasing less content and less frequently because they're lazy or because they don't care about their game anymore. Well, I mean, unless you're this guy. But I genuinely think a big reason why there's less updates is because they've realized, what are we gonna do once we add every character? Like, seriously. What is TSB gonna do once every significant One Punch Man character is added? What is JJS gonna do when every major Jujutsu Kaisen character is added? Will they stop updating? Will they just start adding random characters? Will Z resort to adding every background curse that has ever made an appearance like the bug guy? And I truly think this is what is holding these Battlegrounds from updating a lot, because eventually they know they're gonna hit a wall of no characters left to add. But that's just what I think. You know, I could be wrong. Now let's wrap this up with why Battlegrounds were destined to fail. Let's go back to the lack of creativity segment I mentioned earlier. I mentioned these 2 games, how although not changing a lot of stuff, they did make an effort to try to be a bit more creative by having extra moves and changing a core mechanic. And I know some of you might be thinking,
well, that's not much of a change. They barely changed anything.
Well, that's where one of the big issues lie, is that players are afraid of change and want something simple and familiar to them. And even if a new Battlegrounds did change up what we all know and love, then is it really even a Battlegrounds? Like, look at Eternal Battlegrounds. Very different from every other Battlegrounds, but I think most players would agree that this really isn't a Battlegrounds game. It's more of a fighting arena game, I guess. I don't really know what to call it, but it's not a Battlegrounds. And this is why Battlegrounds were destined to fail, because they're so simplistic in nature that they can't really innovate that much and still call themselves a Battlegrounds game, leading to why so many Battlegrounds feel exactly the same. So are Battlegrounds really completely dead? Well, for the time being, no. Only the YouTube side of Battlegrounds is just starting to die out, but I'm using die out very lightly because as soon as TSP updates, most of these YouTubers claiming they quit are going to come running back to record the update. And as for the Roblox side of Battlegrounds, I see these 4 Battlegrounds staying on top, and of course there's always going to be some new Battlegrounds that will be hyped for a week and then quickly die out, but they will never top these 4. But as time goes on, I do see Battlegrounds tied to a single show hitting a brick wall with no more characters to add, and the raging flame that was once the Battlegrounds genre will slowly fizzle into nothing. But as always, these are just my thoughts and opinions. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you for once again listening to one of my Yap sessions.
No, that wasn't my crime, that was all you treated, yeah.